Hi everyone. So as you might know, I'm currently pretty devoted to collecting and translating the 1973 Calby Batback set of 91 cards. This is what I have so far visualized. I would say I'm about three-quarters of the way there. In another video, I talked about some of the higher number cards, the highest number cards, number 73 to 91, being quite rare. So, unsurprisingly, these are the ones I do have. Unsurprisingly, most of the cards that I need at this point come from this grouping, the higher number grouping. I do have one on the way. I was thrilled to find one. They are tough, and I was thrilled to find one. So I do have another high number rare on the way. So happy about that. But something else that I did toward this end of collecting the whole set and translating it is I picked up a pretty big card, and that is this one, the 73 Calby number one Shigeo Nagashima. This is, as the kinda sorta clickbaity title of this video says, this is basically, I would say, the closest thing to like the 52 Mantle of Japan that there is. Now, don't get it twisted. In terms of monetary value, this card is not even close to a 52 Mantle. Although it is a pretty pricey card. And this is actually one of the biggest cards I've picked up in a while. I'm just not really doing a lot of shopping on eBay anymore, basically none because of the bad exchange rate. Uh, and I just haven't really bought a lot of big cards within the last year and change. But this is a pretty big card. It like the 52 Mantle 2, it is not a particularly rare card. In fact, within the 73 Calby set, at least the Batback 91 card set, it is actually one of the more available cards. It's not a rare card. The first 50 cards in the set are all Yomiuri Giants players, and they were reprinted in addition to being released nationwide, whereas some of the cards, the rarer ones I talked about earlier, were only released in Western Japan, and they were not reprinted. So what that means is that this card is actually pretty available. If you want one, it's probably a little tougher to get one if you're not in Japan, but I imagine there's probably one or two of these on eBay. Um, so anyway, like I said, this actually is the priciest card in the set, although it is not the rarest. But this one is in great condition, and I'm thrilled to have it. It was kind of one of those things where I had to, kind of rip the band-aid off, or whatever you want to say, and just get this done. Because if I was gonna get the whole set, I do need this card. So I just went ahead and did it. So here it is, and a little bit about the player, Shigeo Nagashima. You might know him. You're probably more familiar with his equally legendary teammate, Sadaharu Oh. He and Oh were kind of the Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig of Japan in the 60s and 70s, with the 60s being the absolute heyday. And despite the fact that O is certainly in the West, in America, and in North America and things like that, much better known for his home run record and photo shoots with Hank Aaron and things like that. In Japan, particularly in his day. Nagashima, also known as Mr. Giant, was definitely the brightest star, the brighter of the two. They were definitely like 1A and O was like 1B. Again, don't get it twisted. O was huge as well. But Nagashima, who was an all-rounder, he ended his career with 440 something home runs, I want to say, which is basically 500 club. You got to remember the Japanese season is shorter by about 30 games. Over, I think, 2,500 hits or thereabouts. Defense, he was a third baseman. I would go as far as to say that, at least in terms of like WAR, overall value, and certainly offensive production with all the home runs, O was probably the slightly superior player. But Nagashima was a excellent player, all rounder, and it's kind of hard to put into words how big he and also O, but particularly he was during his heyday. Uh, the Giants in the 60s through early 70s, the mid 60s through early 70s, won 9 consecutive Japan Series championships, which is obviously nutso. And so, like I said, he was just the biggest star, along with O. And while O's cards, even in Japan, are generally pricier than Nagashima's cards. This card is an exception because, like I said, it is just an icon. It's like 52 Mantle kind of deal. And this card is pricier if you want one than any O card, even in the 73 Calby set. But in all other cases, basically the opposite is true, where O has pricier cards. So what's actually that's I guess what I'm trying to get at is that's actually pretty nice. Like, I mean, he is such a big deal, huge star in Japan, every bit, and actually more so than O, a star, and obviously all around great, hit for power, hit for average, 5 tool player. Probably a little bit better, like all around kind of defensively than O. Nagashima was a third baseman. O was a first baseman. But his cards are actually, besides this one, his cards are actually quite affordable. So I encourage you to go out, look around for some Shigeo Nagashima cards because they are quite affordable. And I'm going to show you some of your options out there. So beyond this card, so one more thing before I get into his other cards, I just want to, I told you guys before that I'm collecting and translating the entire 73 Calby set, and I'm actually, what I failed to mention, if you don't know, is that I'm actually writing it and blogging it on my blog. And my blog is called Nippon Baseball Retro. So it's at Nippon Baseball Retro, all one word, .blogspot.com. What I've done recently is I've created a kind of master translation archive. So I usually post about 5 cards at a time that I translate, post, and put a little commentary. And I usually do this in like shots of like 5 cards per post. So they're kind of scattershot. But what I've done is I've put all of what I've done so far on one page. And I believe that it's right at the top of the blog. You can see it's like 73 Calby translation archive. So if you want to see basically everything I've done up to this point in one convenient place, you can do it. You can see it there. So Nippon Baseball Retro, my blog. So if you want to see sort of I'm documenting my journey of translating and collecting these cards, so you can check it out there. But anyway, let's get on to some other Shigeo Nagashima cards. I'll start with the earliest ones I have. I have a couple rookies, and his rookies, Menkos, are mainly Menkos, maybe some other kinds of cards as well, but mainly Menkos. Like I said before, particularly compared to O, just very affordable. This is a 1958 Marumatsu Menko. So this is a rookie. Really nice card here. And I love the backs of these scoreboard backs. This one's in real nice condition. And I've also got this rookie. I forget what the set is, but this is also a rookie. I know it's a 58. I don't know the catalog designation or the set name, but this is a 58 rookie, and you can see here he is not wearing a Giants uniform. In this picture, he's wearing his college uniform from Rikyo University. And then I've got a couple other Menkos here. These, I'm not sure if they are rookie 58 rookies or if they're 59s or maybe 60s or maybe like 60, 1960. But I think they're either rookies or 59s, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be mistaken. And this is a great looking one. Love this one. And this one shows stats. This was a pretty standard baseball Menko back. This Who Am I? It says Who Am I? And then it gives some stats and information, and it was a game perhaps that you had to, guess who the player is based on the stats. So a little bit like Karuta, the game Karuta, of which there are also Nagashima cards, but I don't have any. And then, let's see here. I've got this one. Little off center. But still nice. This says shoot. This is referring to what is known in Japan as a shoot ball. And a shoot ball is basically a sinker with more run. And it's a common pitch in Japan. I actually, in my most recent blog post, coming back with the plug, I actually translated a card of a Giants pitcher who was a shoot ball specialist. So you can read about that in my most recent entry. And then this is a nice one, although my copy's not super nice. This is a 59 Doyusha Menko, so this is a second year card. And this is from the same set as a fairly well-known and probably the most available Sadaharu O rookie. But this is from the same set. I do have the O. And then I also have, this is another Doyusha, so we're skipping ahead a little bit. This is a 63. This is a 1963 Doyusha Menko. Little bit wonky cutting there, but it's pretty crisp. Otherwise, the back is super clean. And then I have a 1964 Morinaga. And I love the 64 Morinaga set. I am collecting this set. I believe I have one more of the cards to go that's not like one of the super, super mythical rare ones. I think I have one more, not including super duper mythical rare ones. The Giants cards in this set, I believe, although I don't have any facts or evidence to back it up, I believe the Giants cards in this set were printed in higher quantities than the players of other teams. Um, Probably due to the popularity of the team and their players would be my guess. The 73 Calby Batbacks are a little bit like that too. Um, but I suspect with this set, Giants players are in, greater abundance than players of other teams. You should be able to find one of these if you want one. The Giants players, even O, comes up a decent amount at this point. And then I've got a couple later Menkos here. I believe these are 70s. So this one is, I believe, from Nagashima's time as manager. This is probably mid 70s. That is O behind him, isn't it? Ooh, maybe my eyes are getting worse. I think that's O. So this says TV quiz. What show is this? And I asked somebody, an older gentleman I know, what if he knew what this show was, and he didn't know. So I was curious about it. So I said, "Hey, do you know what show this is?" And he didn't know what it was, unfortunately. So, and then I've got this one, another little Menko, which I believe is from the 70s. And then I've got, this is what is known as a shitajiki, and it's basically, this is like a writing mat for students. So you would put this on your desk and then put your paper on like your lined paper or whatever on top of it so that you didn't like damage your desk with like pencil indentations when you're making your writing marks. And this is for basically it's like an advertisement. It was probably promotional. Probably for something called Ribbon Citron from Sapporo, which is most known for beer, but makes other stuff too. And this one is probably mid 70s, maybe 74, 75 or later, mid 70s probably, because he is wearing number 90, which he did not wear until he was manager. And then on the back, you have this, cute singer or actress, probably one of those two. I don't know who this is. But you can see here on the side there's a ruler, and that was to help students because it was for writing in school. So it also came with a handy ruler on the back there or the front, whichever, I guess whoever you like better. And then finally, before I sign off here, guys, I've got a couple Nagashima comics. This one I actually picked up recently. This is called The Story of the Giants, and this is actually from Nagashima's rookie year. This is 58, and that's him on the cover in the middle there. This is Tetsuharu Kawakami, who was the manager at the time, and he is also kind of like the OG Giants superstar in his playing days, and then was the manager at that time. And embarrassingly, I do apologize. I do not know who this is. So somebody help me out on that. And this is from something called, this is what is known as a furoku, which basically means it's like a special little insert that would come in magazines or books, and kind of like a little free bonus you'd get. And these were common in like youth magazines, boys magazines, girls magazines. Things, think of like in an American context, maybe like Boys Life, Ranger Rick. You guys remember Ranger Rick? If you're a millennial like me, you might remember Ranger Rick. Highlights, like kids magazines, kind of like that. So these would come in them. It was common, and this is from something called Fifth Graders. So I guess the target audience is pretty clear based on the title of the magazine. So, and then I'll just give you a peek inside, kind of this kind of crude, uh, I would say very Showa, that is to say, kind of 20th century, mid-ish 20th century manga style. Um, and yeah, so that one's cool. Picked that up recently, and then I also have this one. So this I believe is also from his rookie year, and this is called the tale or the story of Nagashima, and this is from something called Golden Boy. So like I said, it's probably um, again a boys magazine of which there were many, like Boys Life, or things like that. Yeah. Or I'm sorry. Pardon me. The title is, this is actually from the magazine is called Boken or Adventure King, and then the title of the comic is called Golden Boy, referring to Nagashima himself, and then the story of Nagashima. So my mistake, but I did correct it. So caught myself. All right, that's it from me, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Peace.